Ashley Neville here with FanRag Sports, joined by Chris Schubert. Phil Jackson just spoke in a press conference, and he talked about how Carmelo Anthony would probably be better in a different place. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with Phil Jackson's comments that Carmelo Anthony's probably better off playing elsewhere. But he was going to be elsewhere regardless of these comments. The entire last season for Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks, I think it's an understatement to say it went bad. The number of trade rumors surrounding Carmelo Anthony, Phil Jackson himself saying bad things about Carmelo Anthony. Oh, and yeah, the Knicks pretty much stunk up Madison Square Garden. That certainly didn't help either. Carmelo Anthony will be playing next year in another uniform. This is not news to anybody. But where I think Phil Jackson has gone wrong here is to make these kinds of comments publicly when a guy is not a free agent, when the guy has 2 years left on his contract, you have to trade him to another team. You've now lost all of your leverage. You're going to call up another team and say, hey, do you want Carmelo Anthony? And they're going to respond with, well, you need to give him up, so we're not going to give you anything. You have a fractured relationship from ever since Phil Jackson stepped foot in New York, and now you have Phil Jackson coming out and saying that he's better off elsewhere. The Knicks are in a lot of trouble.
I think most people knew that he was better off elsewhere. I mean, he's kind of done it to himself over the past couple of years. Is he a winner, though?
Carmelo Anthony?
Yes.
I don't think... I think he gets a bad rap. I think Carmelo Anthony has done everything in his power to try to win in New York. It is not his fault that when they built the super team the first time that Amari Stoudemire was getting towards, his career being over, at least in the NBA, and his body wearing down. It's not his fault that the Knicks brought in a lot of high-priced free agents and they didn't work out. Carmelo Anthony doesn't have his hand in that. Carmelo Anthony goes out there and plays basketball, and he has played well for them. Maybe not what they expected him to be, especially this past season hasn't been great. But it's not his fault. You can't do it all by yourself, especially in today's NBA. You need help, and I just don't think he ever got it there.
Where do you think he should go?
That's the interesting question, right? Because one, you need to figure out a team that's going to be able to take on the money that's still associated with this contract, and two, it has to be a fit for Carmelo Anthony and that team. And I don't know how many teams fit into that bubble that answers both of those questions. But I do think he is going to play elsewhere. I know Cleveland was a rumored target. Do they potentially revisit that Kevin Love for Carmelo Anthony swap? Maybe, depending on if Cleveland wins a championship or not. Certainly that's a place that he could go. The Clippers are another one that I know they've been interested in him, but that deal may become too big for them to end up. And Boston, they're a team that's looking for a star. Is Carmelo Anthony the guy they're looking for? Maybe.
Well, when the NBA kicks off next season, we're going to expect to see Carmelo Anthony in a new uniform.